Hello, my name is Brittany and welcome to Family Fridays Paint Night. A few words before we begin. I'm sorry for my absence in May and June. I needed a little break from big projects, but now I'm back. Expect a new video every third Friday of the month for the foreseeable future until we can resume classes in person at the Art and Spirituality Center. Speaking of which, there are other classes being held virtually if you're interested in taking any of those. I'll leave the link to our virtual calendar in the description box below. As a reminder, my class was made to promote bonding between family and friends. You do not need to be an artist to enjoy art. My art isn't perfect, so don't feel yours needs to be either. For all those participating in this activity, I want you to try your best and don't worry about the outcome. My hope is for you to let go, get lost in the artistic process, and forget about what's currently happening in the world, even just for a little bit. One last thing before we begin. Feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward, mute, or do anything you need in order to follow along with this video. I normally take over 3 hours to complete a painting, even though my class runs about 2.5 hours. For the sake of time and to make a short video, the clips you see of me painting are sped up significantly. Please, by all means, relax and take your time. I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Here is what we'll be painting for July of 2020. Disclaimer, this is not my original artwork as I found it somewhere on the internet. I do not take credit for this concept and I wish I could find the original artist to give credit. Think of this as a study of the original artwork. Here we have a gray barn with an American flag sitting peacefully in a field of yellow sunflowers. Feel free to take artistic control, change the colors, make additions or adjustments, or change it up completely. The choice is yours. Alright, let's talk about paint. We'll be using acrylic paint for this activity. You can use the fancier, more expensive paints if you want to. For this project, I'll be using paints you can find at your local craft store or even Walmart that are less than $1. We'll need a few colors: blue, navy blue, red, yellow, green, optional lime green, but you can mix that with green and yellow, black, white, and brown. We'll also be needing 3 brushes today: a large flat brush, a medium flat brush, and a detail brush. Some other materials we will need: something to put under the canvas or canvas board, such as a tablecloth or newspaper. You can also use a mat board like this one I've used several times. Of course, you need something to paint on. I personally will be using a canvas board, 12 by 16 specifically. You can use an actual canvas of any size too. Then we have our paints. You'll need a plate to put the paint on. You can also use a palette if you have one, a water cup to clean your paintbrushes, and lastly, a paper towel or an old towel. I have a towel I've used plenty of times for other paintings, as you can see here. Okay, order of operations, how this painting will go, just in case anybody is a little faster than my instruction. Starting from the bottom right hand corner, I'm going to measure about 3 inches by 3 inches and make a little mark. From that mark, I'm going to make a line that goes off of the canvas, and that serves as the bottom of the barn. Alright, I'm finding the center of my canvas and measuring about 2.5 inches down and 1.5 inches from the center. I'm going to make a mark, which is the top of the barn. About center from the page, I'm going to make a little mark and connect those two with a line. I could go ahead and connect here and here in one line, but instead I'm going to make 2 diagonal lines to make the roof, and then following those same angles on the other side, then from those 2 marks make lines going off of the page. Then I'm going to draw a square to serve as the window, then a nice curve for the rod of the flag, and then a rectangle as the flag. Now we're going to go ahead and paint the sky blue and the grass green, and then start on the roof. We'll go ahead and paint the barn too. We'll go ahead and paint in that window black, and then outline the barn in black, and then start drawing out and coloring in our flag. Next, we're going to go ahead and draw the centers of all 4 of our flowers, and then draw the petals for all 4 flowers. Then going to go ahead and paint the grass and the stems and the leaves. After the grass, I'm going to go ahead and paint the petals and then paint the centers, and then we'll be done. Using chalk or pencil, let's go ahead and start sketching out the barn. So from the bottom right hand corner, measuring about 3 inches, go ahead and mark a little spot, and then again halfway, about 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, make another spot, and from that mark, go ahead and draw a line going off of the canvas. Looking on the right side, again measuring about halfway-ish, gonna go in another 3 inches, mark that spot, and then connect those two. Now from this top mark, we're going to draw 2 angled lines. And we're going to mirror that on the other side. And then from those 2 points, we're just going to draw a line going off of the page. Next, we are drawing in our rectangular window. And then a nice little curved line to serve as the rod for the American flag. And then a nice rectangle going for the American flag. I was initially going for a waved flag, that's why you see that little curve right there, but I didn't like how it looked, so eventually I ended up changing it just to a regular rectangle. Okay, let's get to painting. So I'm going to pour out some of my regular blue that I have and also some white, and in here I did have like a sky blue color, but I ended up just using the dark blue mixed with the white. I didn't like how the sky blue looked in there. And then also some dark green for the grass. We're going to do a couple layers of that too. So with my large flat brush, I'm going to go ahead and just start at the very top. And I don't know about you, but I also like to paint the edges or the corners of my canvas or canvas board, so I'm going to be doing that as well. But starting from the top, I'm going to go ahead and go in with the darker blue that I have. And here you can see I'm doing that sky blue color, but I end up painting over it anyways. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix my dark blue with the white to create this really pretty blue. And then about kind of the middle of the page is where I'm going to do that color, and it's just going to be a nice little gradient from dark blue to a medium blue and then a light blue where it meets the grass. As our sky is drying, I'm going to go ahead and use that green that we poured out and just do about 2 layers of a solid green. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just did 2 layers because my green was a little transparent, but this is just going to serve as the base for our grass, and eventually we're going to paint over it and give it some individual grass texture. Now I'm going to pour out some black paint, and then with my detail brush I'm going to outline the edges of the barn as well as that line in the middle for the roof. going to venture off into painting the roof and the front of the barn. These two pieces will take the most time out of all of our painting. First, we're going to start off with the roof. So where I did that, where the edges are, I'm going to paint some black first just to give it some shadow of where the roof is bending. And then I'm going to mix some black and white together to make gray. And I'm just going to make it a solid color to begin with. And then with the white again, I'm going to use my medium flat brush on the flat side and just go back and forth with some streaks. I'm going to change it up and use some black in there, some gray in there, some white in there, just to give it some texture of the roof. Okay, we're going to take the same concept that we used for the roof. First, we're going to mix up a nice gray color just to put all over the front of the barn as a base, and then going back and forth between white and black and gray using the flat side of our medium flat brush. We're just going to make long streaks going back and forth, and that's to look like individual wood panels. So just play with that to your liking. Put in some darker spots, some lighter spots if you want to, and just have fun with it. This will take probably the most of your time, and this will be the hardest thing that we'll have to do today. Now I'm going to go ahead and outline our original lines that we made in black, and then I'm going to fill in the rectangular window in black as well. Since I'm a messy painter and cannot paint inside of the edges, I'm going to go ahead and redraw the shape of my flag and actually make it rectangular. So I'm going to give the area where the flag will be a couple coats of white just to make it solid, so we can go ahead and do the stripes and the blue part. Okay, time to sketch out the flag. I already went ahead and did that off camera. But just in case anybody didn't know, when displayed either horizontally or vertically, the blue part, which is called the union or the blue field, is always displayed in the upper left-hand corner. So keeping that in mind, I already went ahead and drew that out, and there are 13 red and white stripes. There are 7 red stripes and 6 white stripes. 7 of those stripes connect with the blue field, and then the rest of the 6 don't. So probably about halfway of the flag is where the edge of the blue field will be. And then if we're looking at it straight up and down, a little less than halfway is where the other edge of the blue field will be. So go ahead and draw out your 13 stripes, and then we'll begin painting. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour out some red, white, and navy blue. If you don't have navy blue, that's totally fine. Just go ahead and use the blue that you had and mix it with a little bit of black, just a little bit. So first I'm going to start off painting the blue rectangle in the top left-hand corner of the flag, and then alternate between my red stripes and my white stripes, painting the red stripes first and then cleaning it up with the white. This might require a couple coats, so just be patient with it. Alright, flag is all nice and done as far as the blue and the stripes go. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the stars. I'm going to explain this as best as I can. So if we're looking at it from this point of view, we have stars that are, let's see, 6 stars by 5 stars. I'm just going to use the end of a pencil to do little dots instead of individual stars. So go ahead and make first a 6 by 5 row of dots, and then in between what I call windows are more dots, and those should equal to 50 stars for 50 states. Next, we are going to sketch out our sunflowers. These two are in the bottom left-hand corner. First, we're going to draw the centers, then the petals around them. I like to draw my petals with a little point, but feel free to round yours out too, or change up the flowers completely and do a different one. Now we'll be drawing the other two sunflowers on the right hand side of the barn. They will be growing up from the grass. First we'll draw the centers, then the petals. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pour out some dark green, lime green, and yellow. If you don't have lime green, that's totally fine. Just go ahead and mix the green that you do have with yellow. And then with my detail brush, I'm going to go ahead and paint the stem of the flowers and the leaves that go along with it. And right along the edge of where the green and our barn or sky meet, I'm going to go ahead and do upward strokes, first with the dark green and my detail brush. And then going on further with the grass, I'm going to do it in a couple of layers and in a couple of sections, you'll see in a second. Just going back and forth between my dark green and my lime green just to give it different textures and different shades of grass. So go ahead and do that back and forth to your liking. If you have a different way of doing grass, you can do that too. If you want to add more flowers, you can do that too. It is all up to you. Just go ahead and have some fun. Last but not least are the sunflowers. I painted mine a little bit darker than what the original painting had, so feel free to do yours different than mine, but my technique is to really just blend my brown, yellow, and white together in a couple of layers after they kind of dry between. So first I outline the petals in brown, and then I go ahead with my yellow and kind of just blend that to the edge of what I just painted while it's still wet. And then I move on to other petals, and then I'll come back to it doing yellow again, and then once that's dry I'll put another layer of yellow on it mixed with the white. So it's a process for me, but you can paint it however you would like. You can change up the colors if you want to. Again, make it a completely different flower if you want to, but this is just how I paint mine. And lastly, we have the center of our flowers. I just went ahead and got my dark brown. First did the circle of the center, and then with my yellow just kind of dabbed it between to give it some texture and some dimension. And that is it, my friends. Good job if you made it this far and completed the painting. I'm happy with my finished product and I hope you are with yours too. As you can see, my painting does not look like the original one I got inspiration from. If your painting looks different from mine, that is totally fine. Again, I miss everyone and I really wish I were with my Family Friday class painting alongside them. I'm also happy to know that more people have gotten the chance and opportunity to do art safely at home and on their own time. I hope these videos bring you joy and you were able to relax and not worry about the current events of the world, even just for a little bit. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.